we packed up all our stuff. We got in the car and we're leaving town. And I had a gift card for this great steakhouse. And I'm never going to use this. It's a privately owned. I walked in and I said, "Hi, I'm leaving the state of California now, and I need to spend this gift card." And so I said, "I'd like a bottle of wine. I'm going to go stay with my aunt tonight who lives, a couple hours away. But I want to celebrate with a bottle of wine." And so the gentleman says, "Oh, how about," and he names a bottle of wine, which I won't say, but it's owned by the governor of California. And the gentleman who I said that I was leaving the state went, "Ooh." And I said, "Kind of anything but that." So we ended up buying a different bottle of wine and literally took off 4-day journey. Kids are in the car. I think 150-year-old dog is in the car with us. And we just thought, Bonsai's not going to make it.
Right. This is
we're going to lose him. No, he's sitting right over there 2 years later, living his best life.
Nah.
Welcome, friends, entrepreneurs, and visionaries to Getting Neighborly, Fairview, Texas's very own gateway to opportunity. Proudly presented by the Fairview Economic Development Corporation. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, here to navigate the journey through the heart of our thriving community. In each episode, we unlock the doors of Fairview, offering you a first-hand look at the vibrant life and booming business landscape that define our community. We're not just neighbors here, we're collaborators, innovators, and friends, building dreams and turning visions into reality. From insightful stories of local success to exploring the advantages that make Fairview an ideal community for your business. This podcast is your inside track to discovering why Fairview isn't just a place to do business. It's a place to grow, to belong, and to call home. So whether you're looking to start up, scale up, or simply soak up the spirit of community that champions entrepreneurial success, you found the right spot. Welcome to Getting Neighborly in Fairview, Texas. Let's make your business dream a community's success story.
All right, howdy friends, and welcome back to another episode of Getting Neighborly. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, and today we have an exceptional guest who embodies the spirit of community and giving. Joining us in the studio is Pamela Sailor, the dynamic owner and founder of Yellow Brick Consulting, a firm dedicated to uplifting the nonprofit sector right here and beyond. Pamela is a recent Texan from Tustin, California. She found her slice of heaven right here in Fairview, Texas, seeking great schools for her 3 wonderful kids and that sweet, sweet country living that we all cherish here in Fairview, Texas. For nearly 2 decades, Pamela has been a beacon of hope and help in the nonprofit world, working tirelessly to ensure donor communications are heard and felt, leading to meaningful relationships and impressive boost in her clients' donations. She's not just about the numbers, though. Pamela brings a heartfelt approach to philanthropy, ensuring every donor knows just how valued they are by her clients. When she's not strategizing or making significant impacts in small to mid-sized nonprofits, Pamela can be found reading the Bible, unleashing her inner artist with a paintbrush and belting out tunes in karaoke and enjoying a peaceful walk. And true to her giving spirit, she's always finding time to volunteer for causes close to her heart. So please give a warm neighborly welcome to a woman who's as passionate about giving as she is about living. Pamela Sailor, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you. That was amazing.
Well, I'm glad you like it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited to get to sit down and talk with you. It's always fun to find these. That's why we started the show, is to uncover our neighbors. We have such a fabulous cross-section of people in our community. And so I'm so excited to dive into your story and sort of figure out how in the world did you wind up in Fairview? And so give our audience a little background, if you will, of who you are, where you came from. I know I did a little introduction, but really in your words, how did you get to Fairview?
Gosh, that's a great question. I think at the time, if you'd asked me as I'm on my journey coming to Fairview, Texas, I think I would have had a different answer. But if I look back today, I would say God led me here. My whole family. We just keep looking back and we feel like God has really blessed us. But I grew up in a little hometown called Tustin, California. I know I tend to say the California part kind of quietly around these parts.
So sorry. But Tustin's a pretty nice place. I looked it up. It's a really nice place too.
Thank you. It feels like a Midwest town in the heart of Orange County.
Okay.
So I grew up there. I kind of feel like if you had asked anybody that knew me there, who would be the first person on the list to leave town, who would be on the last, I'd be on the latter part of that. But as much as I love my hometown and I'm very proud of it, in fact, there were 2 World War II blimp hangars that the town was also pretty famous for. And one of them burned down last year. And I just felt like I'm here in
Ah,
Texas and part of my home's on fire. So that was a little tough, but I digress. I love Fairview. Our family, we were looking for great schools. We were looking for just some country living, a change. And as much as I love how I grew up in California, I really felt like by coming to Fairview, we kind of went back in time to kind of like what my
right.
childhood was like. Literally, I'm driving the neighborhood looking for houses. I'm on the phone with my husband, and you're going to laugh. I'm driving through, I literally drove past where I'm sitting right now, the house. I'm driving right past, and people are walking their dogs and they waved. And I went, honey, they waved at me. They're nice people here. And then I went to the backside of our community, which there's this very large field. And that year was an off year for planting crops. So it was just a field of flowers. And I think I cried. And I just thought, I have to live here. So
That
we
is so awesome.
uprooted our families. The craziest part was we bought this house without ever seeing the inside of it.
Oh my
Also on the
goodness.
list of things that, people who know me would say, hi, who would be in the top of the list that would go out and take that kind of risk? Who would be at the bottom? I would be at the bottom, Super Dave. I'd be the last person that would, hey, let's buy a house. Let's write a check. Let's get there. And then, hopefully it works out.
It's probably going to be fine.
Right. I kid you not. We packed up all our stuff. We got in the car and we're leaving town. And I had a gift card for this great steakhouse. And I'm never going to use this. It's a privately owned. I walked in and I said, hi, I'm leaving the state of California now, and I need to spend this gift card. And so I said, I'd like a bottle of wine. I'm going to go stay with my aunt tonight who lives, a couple hours away. But I want to celebrate with a bottle of wine. And so the gentleman says, oh, how about, and he names a bottle of wine, which I won't say, but it's owned by the governor of California. And the gentleman who I said that I was leaving the state went, ooh. And I said, kind of anything but that. So we ended up buying a different bottle of wine and literally took off 4-day journey. Kids are in the car. I think 150-year-old dog is in the car with us. And we just thought, Bonsai's not going to make it. Like,
Right. This is going to be a
we're
hard
going to
trip.
lose him. No, he's sitting right over there 2 years later, living his best life.
Nice.
Old man
All
dog.
right.
And we traveled for 4 days. And the morning that we left Abilene, Texas, packed up our car again from the hotel we were staying in and drove for hours. We hit rush hour traffic. I'm looking for the truck, figuring my stuff was going to pass me on the freeway. Thankfully, we beat the truck here. We're pulling into the community. And I just remember thinking, Lord Jesus, please. I hope we like the inside of the house as much as we like the outside of the house. We pull up, we open the door, we say, kids, pick your bedrooms. I mean, it was nuts.
That is quite an unusual story for, especially for a mom with kids to go into a house that she's not ever looked at or seen or laid eyes on. That's a lot of faith.
I saw a video, but that
Sure.
was it. Yeah. So, I mean, we walked in and went, oh, thank God, the tile's a nice color. Oh, thank God, that's not what it looked like in the pictures. Okay, I don't have to remodel the kitchen. I mean, and that was like the first 10 seconds of our house. Moving van shows up. Okay, high gear, let's go.
That's awesome. So, I mean, my goodness, what did you have? Did y'all have work, or is that what brought you, or you just decided to make the change?
Yeah, we decided to make the change. My husband was thinking, so 2020, I know it was hard for a lot of people. I had a baby in 2020. And in the state of California, some organizations were shut down for like 500, 700 days. I mean,
Yeah.
people did, with the nonprofits that I work for, some of the individuals that through my work that we serve, some didn't leave their house for 700 days.
Holy
I might have
cow.
gone to the grocery store. These individuals did not. And so it was really hard to be in California through 2020. And the funniest part was, as soon as I'm about to have my baby, finally there was some opening up of stores. And I remember thinking, I'm 9 months pregnant. I'm about to give birth, any day here. And literally the stores that I've been desperately needing to go in and buy, a variety of things, undergarments to name one, and things that would fit me. I'm like, I'm going to have 2 days and then be back on like my own personal lockdown.
Oh, man.
So through that, the following year, we have our 1-year-old at this point and our other 2 kids, and we thought we need a vacation. And I'd been to Texas before. My husband had been to Texas before. I had worked for the Boy Scouts, 13 years ago. And every professional employee of the Boy Scouts has flown to Texas from wherever you are in the country, flown
Right.
to Texas, to Irving, Texas, and you learn how to be a Boy Scout for 2 weeks in Irving, Texas. And so that was my
Oh,
first real experience here. And I remember loving it. And my husband went to Austin, and my husband says, so Austin's not for me. The keeping it weird thing's a little much for me, but I can kind of see what everything else is going on and I kind of like it. So we thought, let's take a vacation. So we explored the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the first time I drove through Fairview, our real estate agent, I swear to you, took us off some random road. We ended up working with another agent who was amazing, but takes us off some side road where someone had literally written on spray paint $6 haircuts on plywood and lean it up against the house. So that's like, this is my introduction to like the areas of Fairview. And I'm thinking, I don't know if this is for me. And so then we take Country Club, which I have no idea is parallel to 75 this whole time. And I'm thinking, where on God's green earth are we? Obviously, it's very green here, but like where?
yeah.
And we went forever and ever. And I turned to my husband. I said, we cannot live here. This is too country. This is too far. No. Well, we go home, we make another trip as we're really narrowing in on the towns. And my husband and I both said, you know what, let's stay at a hotel closer to Fairview and actually kind of maybe have dinner there. So we stay by the outlets. And I remember going, wait, there's Coach? Coach is here? There's every bank imaginable. There's every store. And then we hit Country Club Road and I went, oh,
Now
now I
you
get
get
it.
it.
So then I turned to my husband and say, we have to live here.
That is awesome. And that's what we find are so many people, they love that mix. And it's a very unique mix that we have here where
Yes, it is.
literally everything you want. Like I tell people, Whole Foods is out your front door and you can have Longhorns in your backyard. I mean, that's
Yes.
really kind of Fairview.
Yes.
And they don't quite get it until they get here. And then you cross Highway 5 and there's just a whole different, I mean, you just relax a little bit, right? That's what people talk about
Absolutely.
is if they're doing the grind in Allen, Fairview, or Frisco, Plano, or Dallas, when they turn off and they cross that Highway 5, it's just a totally different atmosphere.
It is. It is. And my husband was fortunate enough. He was able to be able to work from home and work remotely. So he still has his work in
Nice.
California. I was able to take my business. So I pared down my business. I still have one client in California that I faithfully serve and love and adore. And then I spent that first basically year deciding, my husband and I decided, I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to get to know this community. It would be so very California of me to say, you know what, folks, I know how fundraising is done. Let me show you how it's done. And
Yeah.
it's just not me. So I volunteered. I spent a lot of time. I worked with some great organizations. I got to know Alicia, who I believe you've had on the show from Treasured Vessels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I met our mayor, who he's made a couple of introductions. I've been so excited. I've been able to work with Lake Ministries out in Anna. They're an amazing equestrian group that serves kids that just aren't thriving. And
Yeah.
somehow when they work with horses, all of a sudden the magic happens and they become these incredibly confident kids. It's like they just
They light
get it.
up. They kind of get that
Yes,
spark.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with them. I'm now working with the Blackland Prairie Raptor Center down in Lucas, which they're
Okay.
amazing. I had no idea that the Blackland Prairie is the #1 most endangered ecosystem in all of the United States, right where we live. So
Isn't that
that was
crazy?
amazing. And then I got to work with At Last, which is also called La Tiendita, and it's based in McKinney. And so that's been really exciting to help underserved individuals who, no matter how much help has gone into that community is still just really struggling. And so their founder has basically tackled a food desert and done some incredible work and is finally starting to see that heart of Eastside McKinney become a thriving and culturally diverse and great place to be.
Nice. Very good. And so now your kids, do they go to Lovejoy? Are they
Yes.
in Lovejoy?
Yes. So while we were hunting for houses, ironically, turns out there were 3 families. We all lived off the same main street in California, and we were all shopping for houses at the same time.
Oh, that's crazy.
And we didn't know it. And one gal that I just so appreciate, she and I both volunteered at a Christmas party for our 2 kids in the same classroom. Lo and behold, we get a call from Lovejoy saying, hey, there's someone here from your school. And I thought, well, my kids are enrolled in your school. This is the summer before. I don't know what that means. And she says, no, from your last school, they moved here too. Do you want to exchange phone numbers? And I thought, you got to be kidding me. And so I went to have some breakfast with her. I was like a 2-hour breakfast at Fairview Farmers. And then
Uh-huh.
I found out another gal who we're very good friends now too. She and I lived off the same main street. Her kids are a little bit older than mine. Gosh, and we just pal around all the time. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
y'all can commiserate and be Californians and be a safe
I know.
space.
Shh, quiet about it. Quiet, Super Dave.
Oh, that's so awesome. So now tell me a little bit about your business because it's sort of
Yeah.
fascinating what exactly you do. I mean, how do you help people with Yellow Brick Consulting? Is that right? Yellow Brick Road Consulting? Is that it?
It's Yellow Brick Consulting, but the
Okay.
basis certainly is a Wizard of Oz theme. And the reason I
Okay.
picked that name, I had been working in-house, and I mean, as close to being a workaholic as possible. I think most people that work in the nonprofit
Yes.
sector, I mean, you live, you breathe,
You're
you sweat,
passionate, you love it, you're doing
you
it, right?
bleed, yes, for your organization. And I loved it. But this particular nonprofit I was working for had been exponentially growing. So the first year I was with them, we had 2 events, and I think collectively we raised about $300,000. By the end of my time there, we raised $1 million between the 2 events, plus a whole other pool of money from people being philanthropic and making gifts, $25 gifts, $10 gifts, $25,000 gifts, you name it. And so I mean, I remember at our annual gala, we had raised over $700,000 that night, and they didn't have anybody to detonate the confetti cannon. Can I tell you, if you ever have the opportunity to detonate a confetti cannon, the answer is yes. So we're looking around, nobody from the committee wants to do this. So suddenly it falls to me. And just kind of hindsight looking back, that was the pinnacle of I did it. This team that I've
Right.
worked with, we've raised all this money.
It was a physical anchor to what you have just accomplished, right?
I mean, it was a physical manifestation of glitter and lights and
I
explosion.
love
I
it.
mean, it was amazing. And the best part too is you turn the toggle on and you hear it arm ring. Which, like, if I wasn't already, heart pounding, it certainly was after that. And then they had like the protective, don't press the red button till you're ready. So you lift the protective cap. And then now I'm looking at the auctioneer who's just money is flying in the door. We ran out of room on our calculator. We couldn't even calculate how much was coming in. It was just the room lost their mind. And then she says, now. I press the button, confetti goes everywhere. And it just was so out of body amazing. So that was the end of my professional career working for a nonprofit because I was just burnt out. And every January 1, most people are watching the Rose Parade in Pasadena, California, thinking, oh, this is great, a new day. And me, I'm going, I raised so much money yesterday and now I have no money. I have to start over. So anyway, that was kind of what led me to decide, you know what, I think I'm going to go into consulting. I'm burnt out. And the very first friend of mine I reached out to, I said, hey, you run a nonprofit. Do you ever work with consultants? And she said, oh my gosh. And I remember it so clear as day. We're having lunch and she says, oh my gosh, how much are you going to charge? What are you going to do? How many hours would you be available? What's your scope of work? And she just asked all these rapid fire questions. And I remember thinking, and I actually asked her, I said, what's the scope of work? I mean,
That is awesome.
yeah. So I had my first client just blurting the words out. I'm thinking about doing this. And that was amazing. So I started my business. I realized so much working in-house, I was taking on and tackling activities like, let's make sure that all the links on our wish list to Amazon are working and, clicking for a half hour when really anybody could have done those tasks, and
Yeah.
talking and sharing with those who help support the organization, those investors, those donors, and helping be a storyteller, which I think that's really more what I enjoy doing. That was where Yellow Brick started. And then because it's called Yellow Brick is at the time my daughter Dorothy was young. She was still in preschool and she's about to go into kindergarten. And I thought I would love to be able to volunteer in her kindergarten classroom. And at the rate at which I'm working, that's not
That's not
really
happening.
going to happen. So Yellow Brick, it's my pathway to be with Dorothy.
Man, I love a good story. So I think that's one thing that nonprofits and they do amazing work and they just don't know how to share that story, right? They just get about doing the
Sometimes,
business and the work. They're in it and they don't know how to share that story. And it's the story that people buy into, right? Like they love the
absolutely.
work and they love what you're doing, but if you can't tell them and articulate it in a way that they understand, it really
Well,
does cause an issue.
Well, and it's a little bit too of so why, Super Dave, do you care about XYZ charity? That's like a really critical part, because when you think about it, if we're going to go and buy a car, or we're going to buy a computer, the companies that are communicating to you on television are saying, this is the best computer, this is the best car, let me tell you all the specs and details. In fundraising, it's not that way, because when you think philanthropically, the word philanthropy means to care for your fellow human, really at its core. And so when you're going to buy a computer or a truck, you think here. But when you're going to support a charity, that comes from your heart. And so hearing how many, activities and children, and how riding a horse brings the brain together, and so now you can walk, that's not the same thing. It really is at the core of everything. Is, Super Dave, when you were a kid, did you ever struggle, or did you ever feel isolated, or did you ever have a difficult time making friends? Okay, this story is about you. Let me tell you, there's a lot of yous at this organization that needs your help. I mean, can you imagine being in the first grade? You're pretty much coming home crying every day. You're the kid who's fallen apart on the soccer field. All the other parents are thinking, what's wrong with that kid? The other children are thinking, what's wrong with that kid? And you're the parent thinking, what's wrong with my kid? Why can't he just get it together? I love soccer when I was. So I just took a story about a little kid who's going to go to a nonprofit and receive some help. And in his brain, it all clicks. He gets on a horse at Lake Ministries, and suddenly he's starting to figure out those tools that all the other kids learned, maybe from playing soccer. But for this kid, it just took a little bit more effort and something to do with that honesty with a horse. There it is. But I mean, I wasn't talking about the horse for half the story. I was talking about you and a little boy and connecting you.
Put me in there. I'm feeling everything you're saying.
Yeah. And
That's
at the
really
end of
good.
it, to say, you're the hero, Super Dave, because you have the ability with your gift, whatever size that may be, you can help this kid.
Nice. And so now that you're here, have you been able to, are you working as much as you want? Are you starting to see your client base grow? And I mean, maybe a silly question. We all work, as a small entrepreneur, you're like, I know I could always have more work, but are you finding your way and getting and able to find clients for your business?
That's such a great question. Thank you for asking. I'm a worrier by nature. Like if someone said, no, really, there's nothing to worry about, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm worried that I'm not worried. Why am I not worrying right now? That's just kind of my
my wife. So that's.
And I've been on this faithful journey as well, with reading the Bible and attending a Bible study. And currently I'm doing a 40 miles in 40 days walk with Jesus. Yeah. And so it wasn't too long ago that I took my business and I thought, you know what? I'm going to just dedicate it to the Lord. I'm going to give it up to God. If he thinks that I need to be in a season to be there for my kids and show up to, the school and help as a room mom, that's where he wants me to be. And that's the biggest gift I can give to my kids. Well, other times, other walks, other seasons, maybe I really need to be available to help, the Blackland Prairie Raptor Center with their gala that's coming up, or to write some grants and get that going so that they can have that funding come in. And as soon as I gave up my business to God, I have been contacted by people that literally have come out of the woodworks, and it's also the grace of God. I mean, Blackland Prairie Raptor Center, they said, yeah, we heard about you from someone from Fort Worth. And I thought, I barely know anybody here, let alone, I don't know anybody in Fort Worth. And so it took a minute to try and figure out how the heck they heard about me. And it's been
amazing.
Yeah. So honestly, I've basically said, I will take any appointment. I will sit down with any nonprofit ever. If they're saying, hey, and the reason I specialize with small to mid-sized nonprofits is so much of that is a passion of love, a founder or a couple of parents, a couple of dads, they get together, they see a problem, they're going to solve it. And they don't know what they're doing necessarily, but they kind of say, hey, this has been kind of working and we're really not sure why. Let's see what else we can throw at the fan and see what sticks. And so I've always said, is my business model is, let's go get a cup of coffee. I will freely share with you everything I know, freely, anytime. Let's go get a cup of coffee. And so much I've found from people, they say, wow, that gave me such peace. That really gave me a lot of peace. I could ask those questions. And then I say, at a certain point, if I don't have the ability to do any pro bono work because I'm full or I'm at capacity, as soon as you start asking me to do the work, oftentimes that's when we enter into a client relationship.
Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of like a small business owner, right? Like you find that you just can't get it all done and you want to help everybody, but at some point you really got to pay the bills. And so there's a nice little transition there. And Well, so that's amazing. What is on the horizon? Do you have anything that you're really excited about coming up that maybe people can hear this and they can help you, or how do they engage with Yellow Brick Consulting? How do they find you on the web and that sort of thing?
As far as, it's so funny, I get asked every once in a while, hey, we'll put an ad in a program. And I'm thinking, I mean, as much as I appreciate having my business promoted, or like those, solicitation emails that I get where
Sure.
we can website optimization your business. I know I have my website, which is yellowbrickconsulting.net, and people
Okay.
go and they can see some information. In fact, there's a fun thoughts. It's like the fourth, I only have 4 pages that are tied
Nice.
together for my website, but there's a fun thought section and it has just fun things or things that I find amusing to make you smile. So you get a little sense of kind of who I am as a person. But really, if I could share anything, I wouldn't want to be talking to the nonprofits. I want to really talk to our neighbors here in Fairview. I think most of us think about our role and the nonprofits that we care about and the charities that we give to. And we think, hey, at the end of the year, we sit down at the Thanksgiving table and we talk about as a family who we're going to give to this year. Or for I'm going to lie and say 29th birthday, my 29th birthday, I don't need any gifts. I want you to give to my favorite charity. I love that. But what I would say is if you really care for a cause, the best thing that you can do as someone who cares about the cause, one, tell others. And I know it's like the idea of fundraising. Most people are like, oh, I'll break out in hives. I might not live to tell the tale. Like,
Right.
people give to causes because of the people that invite them in. People give to people. They actually don't say, oh, what's your mission statement? Oh, well, I'm going to write my check. Absolutely. No, it's like through stories of how you're helping people. So I would say if you care about a cause, wait until maybe December to write that check. Any nonprofit that's on a calendar year instead of like a fiscal year, they're like sweating bullets like, good Lord, are we going to make budget this year? And to think that like 85% of your dollars come in December. Can you imagine as a business owner, you're like,
No.
a lot of faith in Jesus. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. So I would say if you care about a cause, become a monthly donor. So if you're going to give, let's say $100 at the end of the year, give $10 a month. Not only will you not feel it, they'll also get $120 because I can do that math in my head.
And it gives them a little bit of peace.
Yeah, and if you care about it, that little bit of money that they can count on really will go to a good cause. And knowing that incrementally, you're not noticing it. Okay, so if you have to skip Starbucks a couple of times, fine. But I mean, really, that makes all the difference in the world. And I think a lot of the nonprofits are like, man, if we could just count on some monthly donors, that'd make a big difference. And then I have to tell the nonprofits, okay, starting off by saying we need monthly donors. That's what we need. Let me tell you this. Super Dave, if I was like, hi, so nice to meet you. I've got my cup of coffee in hand. Hey, you want to get married? That's kind of what it feels like for donors when the idea of monthly giving comes up. It's like, whoa, I thought we were going to have coffee first. So the nonprofits are always seeking this thing that's like a pretty big commitment. Monthly, $10 a month. Ooh, I don't know. And then on the other hand, it's, the individual's like, well, I'll just wait until, I'm in that charitable mindset. Care for your fellow human. Do it generously. Give throughout the year. Be faithful that when you give, Jesus rewards those who tithe and support. And that is just, you feel so good when you know that you've helped your fellow human. So if you're the type of person like me, I'm standing in an elevator, I see a lady who's wearing a pretty dress. I'm going to tell her, hey, that's a knockout dress. I love it. Be that way in a charitable mindset too, of saying, you know what, today, maybe my tax return was a little bigger than I thought it was. I'm going to tithe this and I'm going to do it joyfully.
Nice. Very good. Well, Pamela, thank you so much. Is there something I didn't ask you that you wanted me to ask about? Is there something you wanted to share? I mean, such a great interview and helping our neighbors find a way to be charitable and do it in a way that really makes a difference for whatever nonprofit they care for. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I think I would love to say my closest family member is 8 hours away. So my father-in-law and mother-in-law, we get to see them fairly often, even though it's a pretty big drive. And my father-in-law was a veteran in Vietnam. And I just feel like I want to thank all of the people here in Fairview for being charitable, for caring about causes. I want to thank our veterans. There are many. I mean, you had another guest on earlier who was talking about starting in Desert Storm. We've all learned to say, thank you for your service. And the Vietnam veterans were completely skipped over. That was not the reception that they received. And my father-in-law is one of those who did not receive that. So when he is out in our community and we're all being good philanthropists and caring for our fellow humans, when someone says to him, thank you for your service, it means the world to him. So I thank my father-in-law. Thank you, Randy, for your service. And I love that I live on a block on my street with some of the most amazing people in Fairview. They're kind, they're considerate. They wave when I drive by.
That is one of the things I think as Texans that we really should teach people when they move in, right? One of the best things you can do to improve the value of your neighborhood is wave, right? I mean, it's such a simple thing, right? It makes you
Yes.
feel welcomed and a part. Even like in Texas, we're just used to waving. We
Yes.
might know them, so we're going to wave, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
so I think that's so awesome. And thank you for sharing that, because I do think that's one of those things that makes Fairview so different. I mean, we're in the heart of Collin County, one of the most robust economic engines of Texas, really of
Of
country,
your country, yeah.
right? And yet we found a way to sort of carve out this neat little existence where we protected, the country setting and the feeling. And
There is
sort of
nothing like driving
country
past
feeling.
Longhorns on the way to elementary school. I cannot tell you, I do not get tired of saying Longhorns, hello, good morning, hi, horses, hello. And then if I'm going the other direction, hello, goats, hello, sheep, and then
So
hello, coach.
So in some of our marketing, we have said that, like we have X number of population, we have X number of Longhorns, some horses. We throw that into the population number, right? Because it's
I
part of
think
who
we
we are.
should. We should. Absolutely. In fact, one of the two Longhorns that's right up against Sloan Creek, apparently, I believe it's the brown one. He's spicy. He's a little pistol. So
Well, you'll see people pull over, and they'll come over and just kind of hang out with you if you want. You can take a little picture. I always tell people those horns, they hurt. Like, be careful if you're gonna interact with them. But that is awesome. Well, Pamela, thank you so much. Thank you for agreeing to jump
you.
on here and share your story. We're really glad you're here. Looking forward to success and helping you now. And as you were talking, I was thinking of like 10 different people I needed to connect you with and just see.
Oh, thank you.
And you may run out of coffee dates, because I'm going to there's just people that I think could use your expertise. So thank you for being here. Thank you for giving and caring so much. And thank you for loving our community and being a good neighbor. Gosh, I guess, that's all from us, folks, for Getting Neighborly. Remember, whether you're here in Fairview or dreaming from afar,
And that's a wrap on another episode of Getting Neighborly from the heart of Fairview, Texas. This is your host, Super Dave Quinn, and I can't thank you enough for lending us your ears and hearts today. If our story stirred something in you, hit the subscribe button. More tales of innovation, spirit, and community await, showcasing why Fairview isn't just a place on the map, but a destination of dreams. Before you go, take a moment to share your love with a 5-star rating and review, because your support means the world to us and helps us spread the neighborly spirit far and wide, inviting others to join our close-knit community. Are you considering giving your business a fresh start or a grand expansion? Fairview, Texas is calling. With unbeatable resources, a supportive community, and endless opportunities, we're here to help you succeed. Dive into possibilities today at www.fairviewtexasedc.com, where your business dreams have a place to grow and flourish. From all of us here at Getting Neighborly Podcast and the Fairview Economic Development Corporation, thank you for your incredible support. Here's to more connections, more stories, and more success together. Until next time, stay inspired, stay driven, and above all, stay neighborly.